Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Phillip Roybal. And if you love college football, you are definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Coach Roybal, welcome back to the show. How's everything going today?
It's great to be back, man. Great snow day today over here in Hobbs, America.
Yeah, man, it was I looked out this morning and was like, what the hell is this white stuff on the ground? So wasn't expecting that so much, but I guess it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
Absolutely. It was a great day.
Yeah. You got a little bit of a snow day. Well, you got stuck in online meetings or what?
Yeah, I got stuck in a bunch of online meetings, but
Yep.
I didn't have to go in, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah, not too bad. We'd like to welcome back all the people that are in the Mars Jams here. I think you were talking to us the other day in the comments. We'll have to talk a little bit more, but welcome back to the show, everybody. Glad everybody's here. We don't have everybody in, but we'll talk about what we're going to get into today on the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Thanks again to everybody tuning into the show once again. We are always so glad, and I'm really honored that you guys show up and listen to our content week after week. It's something that we're enjoying.
It's fun. We like to have some fun.
Absolutely, man. It's been real good. But listen, and I got to say, there's there's a lot of things that us getting to that 1,000 mark was a big deal for me to get there as quick as we did. Our audience has been great with us, and so it's been nice. Folks, on today's show, don't forget you can always help make sure that we're able to continue bringing you all this content week after week. You can obviously use you can support it with the super chat heart, which is right there below on the screen there, or you can hit us up on Cash App or Venmo. Obviously, you can buy podcast merch, as you saw coming into the deal. That's we've got some cool shirts, and I was kind of thinking maybe some of you guys are designers or something like that. Is there something that you'd want to see on a shirt, or on a cap, or something like that? I mean, we do the horns down stuff and everything, but yeah, we could do something with like a red line through the Notre Dame thing or something, or what? But yeah, I mean, if any of you guys are designers, you want to make a design for a t-shirt or something like that, maybe we could talk about that as well. But you can always do that. You can always hit the Fanatics page if you just want normal OU gear, or whatever your team is. If you're a Cowboys fan, I mean, I know they like normal, but there's any team that you support, you can get 65% off everything in our store just by using the link above. So make sure you're doing that as well. Tonight we will get into there's a few things that going on. Obviously, Coach, we were talking. Well, the first thing is Coach Venables made another addition to the staff yesterday. And this one seems to me, we were talking about a little bit off air, but I feel good about the fact that a lot of the issues that we were seeing on defense and stuff like that was missed gap assignments, things like that. Well, James Skalski was one of the better linebackers at Clemson that he had, as far as, I mean, he was always around the football, seemed to really understand. And of course, he went back as like he was back as a grad assistant anyway as well. And with the fact that Coach Venables has been coaching the linebackers still, or he did during the first season, how big of a thing do you feel like this is to bring in a guy that's that familiar with your system, was a linebacker in your system, to take some of that pressure off of Coach V and allow him to be more of a, full team manager?
Jason, that's a must. And well, you and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm loving that Venables is focusing on that defense, fixing that defense and the issues that they've had defensively, not only through recruiting, but through getting some coaches in there that know his scheme. Obviously, he played for Venables, and that's going to bring a lot to the table because Venables is a head coach, guys. That guy doesn't have time to go spend a lot of time in the meeting rooms and watching film and
Right.
and doing those things and drills. And so having somebody that already knows your scheme, because we've seen it before too, is that you get to see all the gaps that were missed in ball games defensively. Gap
And dude,
control was
I mean, five games that were lost by 7 or less points, 4 of
Gap
them by
control
3.
was a nightmare. And
Yeah.
and the 3-3-5, I'll tell you this, the 3-3-5 is a defense that's not geared around gap control,
Right.
because they're trying to they're using confusion. That's one of the things that they do. But again, you still have to get people in gaps. I've run the 3-3-5. A lot of people have gone to the 3-3-5 because of the spread offenses.
Correct.
But you better have some hellacious athletes up there in the nose and the tackles, because you only got 3 down linemen.
Right. And that
then
was
your
a
outside
problem.
linebackers, that they got to play defensive end, they've got to play outside linebacker, and they have to play secondary in a lot of that scheme. And so those two better be some real studs. So, but I'm excited. Not that I'm excited for OU to be successful, but I'm excited to see that Venables is getting that done and accomplished. And I think
Doing the things that he's trying to get done in there, to have such a one, and you brought up, you got to have studs. And we've talked about it, watching that the All-American Bowl in San Antonio, you had 2, and really the 3 guys that were there for the defense. You also had Seth was there on the offensive line, but you had 3 guys on the defenses, and they all really made an impact. Or first of all, you couldn't throw on Makari. He's a big kid for a corner at 6'1", 200 pounds. But then you also Samuel Omosiho from Crandall.
Yeah.
Man, this kid continues to impress as well. Obviously, you've got some guys that played in the Under Armour game as well that are you figure they're gonna. I mean, obviously with Adabawari, he climbed all the way to the one of the top 5 spots in the country from that edge position because of the pounds he put on and the quickness that he has. He was all over the field. That's going to be big on that line. But Samuel, to me, Samuel is important because as a linebacker, he showed that he could cover running backs. He was covering tight ends.
Yes.
He was able to, play as like another safety even as well, and get some pressure on the quarterback at times too. And then for Josiah Wagner, he's going to be another corner, and he's not as big as Makari is, but he was in making big hits.
Sure.
And around the football.
Jason, that's the strength of that 3-3-5 defense. And Oklahoma's always had great speed on both sides of the ball. And that's one of the strengths of that. And that's why it causes the confusion to the offensive line.
Not sure where the pressure is coming from.
Exactly. And it's the flexibility piece is another big part of that defense, because you can do so many things. You got to be careful you don't do too much.
Right.
So
because you don't want to fill their head with too much where they're not playing with speed, right?
Right. You want to play – they want to play fast. Yes.
Right. And if you think about those, obviously you Notre Dame's been playing an ACC schedule for a while where they played Clemson every year now for a long time, right?
Absolutely.
And so you've seen this defense at its best when they were winning national championships and beating Alabama, and they had guys that, and to me, Omosiho kind of reminded you of the kid that went to the Cardinals. That he was that linebacker safety hybrid guy, and I'm forgetting his name now, but the dude's a stud, and he went early. But they've had a bunch of guys that have been All-Americans on that on the defensive line.
Yes.
In 2020, they had what, 3 All-Americans that all went in the top like 13.
Right.
Well,
and that's another thing, Jason. And obviously part of the weakness to that is with those
Isaiah
3 down
Simmons,
linemen. It's a little bit tougher to get pass rush on the quarterback, but that's where those outside linebackers come in with twists and stunts and
right. Right. And I don't even think that Isaiah's been as good in the league as he was, and he's as great of an athlete as he is. I think he's had some injury issues too, but that guy was, man, he was a disruptor. And having those dudes, like you said, and that's why it's been so important, this recruiting class. It was very heavy on defense. The portal has been very heavy on defense. We've talked at length about the guys they're bringing in. Obviously, you would have liked to maybe seen a few more defensive tackle type guys, but Coach Outlaw, we're going to get into that in just a second. I'm going to finish this little quick convo about him, and then we're in that. But listen, as far as that goes, in order to get, but I just felt like Skalski's one of those guys that he always seemed to be around the football and always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. And so, and he just played. I mean, it hadn't been that long. He can be out there and kind of get them going. I really feel the same way about Miguel Chavis as far as being the defensive end coach, because he was a hell of a player.
Right. Right. And you got some guys that, they haven't been coaching a long time, but they're still, and they're going to connect a lot better with the players at this stage in their career.
Well, Miguel's been doing a great job on the recruiting trail, because that's him at the start of this show that says, let's go. The kids love him. So, it's been a good thing for him. But I feel like with this is another one that's the right kind of hire if you're – and listen, let's talk – we can even talk a little bit about the receiver coach that they got in too. Now, he hasn't really done much on the trail yet. But he's a good recruiter. We were talking about him last week. He was also at Skyline for a while, like you were. He knows that the Metroplex. So, and that's important for some of these guys, for recruiting and everything else. But on top of that, everything I've heard from McGuire and all them, they were upset that he left.
Right.
So I feel like Skalski's it's gonna be a good move. I think it was a good move on the part of Venables to do that. Frees him up a little bit. He doesn't have to put in so much time to teaching the scheme as much, But then again, I'd like to see what's going to happen as far as we're going to talk recruiting already too, huh? Oh, man. All right, so Outlaw College Football brought it up, and it's a good time to kind of get into it. I feel like, again, it's a good let us know what you guys think in the comments, obviously, and as Sean said, he's a great player. So, he may not have been an NFL caliber guy, for very long, or maybe he didn't even get in there, but he was a heck of a player. I know he was a big part of when they won that second championship. It was big, the job that he did against Oklahoma or against Alabama. Now, let's talk about this other deal. Now, the issue then what I was going to bring it up is because it feels to me like this. We kind of need to get into it. The fact that an expected legacy kid, quarterback of the future after Jackson Arnold, presumably, has pushed back his commitment date. He was supposed to do it on the 31st. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be for, but I think it's kind of signaling that there might be, maybe there is some truth to some of this, that there is something going on at Alabama, and maybe there's more to it with as far as Jeff Lebby being interested. I think for the rest of the OU fans, I'll easily speak here and say, don't go, because my question would be is, okay, clearly, here's the deal. it's the player that we're talking about, Frisco Emerson's Michael Hawkins. He would be the 2024 guy that everybody's expected. It's just a done deal, right? Because his dad played with Jeff Lebby at Oklahoma. They were part of the same recruiting class. And they're tight. The family's tight. He's also tight with Kendall Briles, who is at TCU now. They're all, obviously Lebby and Kendall are brother-in-laws. So that's, there's connections there. And they run the same damn offense. Aside from that, that's a family thing. That's the Briles offense. And it's something and this kid he's picking up a lot of traction recruiting wise. They were talking about him making 5-star by the time all of this is said and done. The ball comes off of his hand, something pretty. So you would hope, and something that we obviously know we need to do, is build the kind of depth at the quarterback position that is going to continue to run the offense the way we've expected it to be at Oklahoma all these years, So right. The thing is that not only could you lose this, if perish the freaking thought, folks, but would Jackson even stay?
Exactly.
If Lebby leaves, Jackson came to OU to play for Jeff Lebby. Now, I don't know, they wouldn't necessarily have to let him out of his letter of intent for this year. I think that, but I mean, could you not?
Well, that just doesn't make for very good relations. And, he's not going to play as well as he could if there's that tension.
Well, the wonder would be, could you because Kendall has left every job that he's had in the last 5 years in a year. Could you, because it's not the same offense that they run at TCU. It's not. I know that Briles and Sonny did work together some. But yeah, and I mean, even Kim's saying, yeah, he doesn't, Lebby's not going to leave Jackson. And I think that, okay, so here's the other side of that. I would say, Kim, and thank you for that. I agree with you. And this is a concern as well, him taking the head coaching job. I don't know that that's what's happening though either. I think that Lane Kiffin's in line for it maybe. And I still feel like Dabo Swinney is in line to go to Alabama. He acts like he's not, but things aren't going great at Clemson right now.
Oh.
And if you can't get out of that deal with the ACC, with ESPN, there's a lot of things to talk about as far as that goes. All I'm going to say is this. Not only could you lose this legacy kid, because unless you could maybe pull Kendall over from TCU, which is possible going back to the SEC, but you better hope that happens, or otherwise you're going to get into a different. The issue is then who? Where do you go from there? Because BV's not going to get a Lincoln Riley guy. He's not going to do it. And
I agree 100%. Well, and there, I tell you what, and there is. I mean, there's so much that's hanging out there with Lebby and the situation.
Why isn't he said something?
And I'm going to talk from a non-OU fan perspective, okay?
Right.
Alabama comes calling. Guys, you know what? Alabama is Alabama. And sure I'm not saying don't use chump change, but I am saying, you know what?
It's in Alabama.
It's kind of tough to not take a good hard look at that.
Think at all these guys that are head coaches right now today, and successful head coaches at that. Not everybody wins like he does, but look at Kirby's finally doing it.
Yep.
He's won back-to-back. That's rare. Even yep. Nick doesn't win back-to-back I think he's only done it once.
Right.
So, it's a problem. It's a problem because this guy he's got a car wash of guys that come through there, but they get jobs.
They do.
And that could be, it's your master class in freaking coaching. Now, a lot of people would say when it comes to defense and stuff like that, you're getting that from Venables, and you got to expect that he's going to put a defense together that is going to support Jeff Lebby's offense as well. But
there's just a lot hanging out there right now, guys, and hopefully this process moves quickly, whichever way it's going to play out. Hopefully it moves quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, folks, let us know what you think on this. I mean, and what do you think? I mean, yes, it was terrible. It would be. Here's the other thing about it, and something that, look, I don't want to give you all doom and gloom. I'm just saying, and I think that he stays. And I'll tell you why I think he stays. That first of all, Jackson Arnold is right there. Second of all, they just put together one of the best the best recruiting class in Oklahoma history, as far as for these rankings times, since the 247 era. They are building a defense that can support you. You have a transcendent quarterback right here that you wouldn't have to not spend any time without him. And you're an alum. You played at Oklahoma. This is home.
I'm gonna interject one more thing here, Jason. My question is, because I think this is going to weigh into Lebby's thinking as well, is how long do you think Venables is going to continue to coach?
I think that Venables isn't going anywhere anytime soon, unless if he turns out to not be a great head coach because of the fact, I mean, if a lot of the things that you saw in these close games continue, I mean, if the learning curve doesn't step up, which is why I think, these hires are good hires, because of the fact that it is going to allow him to do CEO stuff, and not have to be calling that defense. But I think it's going to set the program back. Of course, it would set it back. As Sooner fans, and I don't know that Sooner fans are even willing to do this, and I'll tell you that most of them aren't. You have to reset. If this happens, you have to reset your expectations yet again. Because, first of all, until the defense is one of the best in the nation, you need an offense that's going to score 40 or 50 points. You do. Yeah. They have that with Jeff Lebby and with Jackson Arnold and with a lot of these offensive weapons that they pulled in, because they did well on the offense too. Yeah, Chad Morris. I mean, there's guys out there. All I'm telling you is, if Lebby leaves, the chances are you don't just lose one quarterback, you lose two. The good news, as I said, is that he has been resistant about it. Outlaw, you said yourself in here earlier that, I was watching your video earlier, that you heard something there in Tuscaloosa that he was basically turning it down. I also just read on one of the boards that Parker Thune was talking about that it doesn't seem like Saban's taking no for an answer right now. So, and I mean,
well, Jason, you and I talked about this too. Saban is in a little bit of paranoia right now, and he sees what Oklahoma recruited. He sees what's there coming,
and they're on their way to town, and so did Texas too. So yeah. That's part of the game, right?
Yes, absolutely, and he sees that, and number one, he can disrupt it by getting a great offense coordinator, and he can disrupt it by possibly OU losing some good athletes.
Right.
And so, there's more than just getting the right coach in at Alabama, but I think the paranoia of Nick Saban right now is, man, I got to disrupt.
Well, and I was saying this earlier to another friend of mine down in Houston that, it's like the whole NIL, you can't use it as an enticement rule. That came from Nick. He wanted to make sure that rule was in place because that makes it still illegal to do it the way that they do it. Right. But the thing is that they're not enforcing that rule because it's happening everywhere and the coaches are in charge of it. Now, what they should have done, and I've said this week after week, and I'm going to say it again, if you want to change all that stuff, but if you want to change it, you incentivize them staying around.
Right.
You find a way. And you go ahead and let it be what it is so that you can find out what the hell the money is and you can cap it and do all that and make sure that it's being done on the up and up.
Yeah.
But that leaves less control for anybody else, any governing body, much less the NCAA. But it leaves less control. What's happening is, and I agree with you, I think that Nick knows that he was the best at paying players. And I'm not sitting here back. Everybody was doing it, folks.
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody was doing it. So it's not, I'm not saying that, but what he was the best at was getting those guys anyway. So listen, he has shown over the last 2 years that he's very paranoid about losing his throne. He just lost again. And he turns around and puts together the best recruiting class in history the year after the best recruiting class in history was built at A&M. And he smoked it. So it's
well, that was a good question there. How long will Saban coach? And that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier a little bit there too.
Mm-hmm.
The longevity of Saban, and Venables is a little bit different. And I think Saban probably has less years to go than Venables. And
sure.
So is that something that they will entice Lebby with is, this could be a possibility a few years down the line that you take over this program.
Right. Unboxing reviews and more. What's happened is that, number one, the next quarterback has pushed his commitment date back. He's a legacy kid. His dad played with Jeff. They were part of the same recruiting class at Oklahoma. He was coming to OU. He's tight with them. Hey, Kerwin, that's who we were talking to. I was talking to Kerwin this morning. But the thing is that honestly, and that's the unboxing. I'm finishing that. He pushed his commitment back because obviously there is something there, and you keep hearing that Saban isn't taking no for an answer. He's down to 3 now, and so you're looking at a situation where not only would you lose that kid presumably because he's either going to go, and already he said that he's considering TCU because of Kendall being there, right? But if you lose Jeff Lebby, do you not lose Jackson Arnold? And we're talking, you could lose 2 quarterbacks with 1 coach. And we're talking high-level quarterbacks. This kid, they were talking earlier about it, that he is trending towards a 5-star. He's a high 5. He's a high 4 now. He transferred from Allen over to that program at Frisco Emerson.
Yep.
And I know a kid that goes there. He's going to be his left tackle. He's a stud too. And so with him, you know how it is in Texas. They're raising their game. He went over there to get ready and go see if they can't put a playoff run together, and he can put a real season together. You want this kid, and they're tight with Lebby. They're tight with Kendall Briles. There's a lot to it. There's obviously a lot to it, but it's not that. I'm not paranoid about it, and I just said earlier that I still feel like this is home for Lebby. I think that if you said that you think Nick might be less time left in the saddle, but a week ago you told me he may not leave till he dies. So the truth is, we don't know, because you know how Nick is. He likes to coach. I think Miss Terry will kick his ass out of the house. She doesn't like
too many variables, guys.
The thing is the bottom line is this, is that, when they come calling, you can look at it as, hey man, it's kind of masterclass time, and it turns into big money. Now, one thing is that obviously they all have the same, Sexton is their agent. But then I also feel like a lot of this is just playing that game to like shake Venables up a little bit, maybe. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, and I agree with you. I don't think he's going. I think that there's a lot of reasons for him to stay. And I know as of last week when they were talking about it, and it was, I was under the impression that it was a no already. But
Well, OU administratively has got to do everything they can to keep him there.
oh yeah, they better. Well, and Brent Venables better do more. You
Yeah.
know, pay him,
Yeah.
do it all, make sure you pay him. And the thing is that they have done that. They've given him a lot of leeway with his staff, added positions in comparison to what Lincoln had. They have made a lot of those. They've made a lot of those concessions already. I feel like you're probably going to keep him around, right? I feel like you are, but it's just something to think about, folks, and it's something that you got to worry about. And OU does have a lot of momentum. Sean, I agree with you. And again, it's just, but when there's smoke for this long, and we're not just talking about anybody. If we're talking about any other coach aside from maybe Kirby Smart, you don't expect it, right? You don't see him go. I mean, obviously Dabo already got Garrett Riley to go there. We're going to see how that works out. But and now at this point, see, and it was weird to me that they said that Saban didn't even talk to Garrett. It was supposedly going to happen, but I've been hearing that he didn't talk to him. So he's been kind of locked in on him for a little while. Alabama's OC was the former head coach of the Texans. Why am I forgetting his name? I'll say he actually took the job back with the Patriots today.
Bill.
Yeah.
Can't think of his last name.
O'Brien. Bill O'Brien.
Bill
O'Brien. Yeah, and he's going back to the Patriots. Yeah. He was taking a lot of it on the chin. Hell, they were scoring 40 points. They were giving up 50. What do you want to do? You know, I don't really think it was that. I think that they had a great quarterback, but yeah. Look, there's a lot of, I mean, and that's the thing. All of this, and somebody said it in there, there is a lot of momentum with Coach. And again, folks, he's a Sooner. He's a Sooner. So doing that at this time right now, and he came back and he had talked about that being, it's time to come home when they call you home kind of deal. Because Lane Kiffin was not happy about him leaving. I can tell you that. Lane liked having him. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, it's Bill O'Brien. So yeah, it's again. Also, Joe Brady is apparently in the mix. He's won a national championship with LSU. He didn't do well in the NFL for whatever reason, but he certainly can put an offense together. And then, he's been running. Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's run himself out of jobs too. I mean, when you get rid of the best receiver and you've got a quarterback you think you love. Now you didn't know he was a rapist at the time, but you know. But when you have a great quarterback supposedly, and you get rid of the best receiver in football at the time for nothing, basically, and they gave him away for like an apple and a bag of rice. So, I mean, good grief. Yeah. I'm with you, man. I really feel like this is a situation, and I think that he does have some. I mean, he better have some kind of. Well, you can't say that you would necessarily blame him for taking a job with Nick Saban, right? As an OU fan, you damn sure can't. We would be upset with it. But he is an alum. He did play, and I think that means something. And I think it means something to him too. He wants to see this through with Jackson. He's getting a pipeline going, apparently. You know, number 99 left. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're talking about in Houston. Yeah. Yeah. He left. He was gone too. I mean, he broke that team up. Broke it up, and it. You know, obviously he. You know, had to. Anyway, again, I don't want us to like freak out, and I'm not going paranoid on you. I'm just saying When Saban comes calling, it's a little different than anybody else, right? The guy's won 7 national championships. He and now Kirby's won 2. He's got another assistant that won 1 in Jimbo at Florida State. Now, obviously, that's not going that way anymore. But there's a lot of guys around the country that owe their head coaching careers to Nick Saban, and don't think that there's not people within his family and everywhere else that are like, and look, what's the money like? You know, you would think that you can hold him as far as money wise. Yeah. If he did leave and took Jackson Arnold with him, yeah. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you one thing. One thing I would say is I expect that Jackson would go with him, right? But in view of the fact that Venables didn't poach players from Clemson, hell, they still haven't taken any players from Clemson. He's probably expecting Lebby to give him the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a bad deal, Jimmy. You're definitely right. He would never be welcome in Oklahoma again. And listen, I know I like Jeff, and I like him as a coach, but I got to agree that Oklahomans will run his ass off. You can't come back. Yeah. You're right, C. You definitely are. Look, he didn't put this staff together for it to fall apart tomorrow. You know, and again, there's a lot of momentum here, so there's a lot of reasons to feel good about this. But it is scary. It is scary.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some knuckleheadedness. Folks, if you are enjoying I didn't mean to scare the hell out of everybody, but if you're enjoying the content that we bring you week after week, I want to make sure that we give you something to talk about, and we talk about the things that could happen and what's going on. There are some good signs in recruiting as well for the 2024 class. I would definitely like to see, folks, I don't know if you guys saw my video on Darian Holmes again. I want to make clear real quick before I move on to this next deal. And this is just a quick statement. If you haven't seen the Darian Holmes video, in fact, let me jump in there and put it in there. In the chat, but
he's definitely a player.
He is a player, and
there's
folks,
more to the story, though, guys.
Let me just explain something to you. There is no, and the only reason I'm saying this is that I've gotten some people that have insinuated that there's a problem with him, and I mean, and it's an easy place to go. Because it looks like he's
people that really know, though, Jason. Or
yes, yeah. I know exactly what happened, but okay. And I haven't been trying to throw his coach under the bus, but that's what I would have to do to get. Let me just say that you can take a look at this guy. It's a short video. It's just a highlight video, more or less. But this is the season that Darian had. He was just an all-star the same day that they had the All-American Bowl. Later the night, they had the San Antonio All-Star game. He had a couple of amazing catches in that as well. The dude is a Division I player. He just is under the radar because as a junior, he didn't get to play. There was some issues with the past coach. Something had happened with a lawsuit over a kid. The next kid, his brother was on the team and in front of Darian. And
the coach's brother?
No, the player's brother. Okay, so there was a coach that apparently got fired from Warren for injuring a kid.
I got you.
Okay. And I don't know exactly the whole story about that, so I didn't want to. He injured a kid. And so they fired him. They bring in his coach from this season, and he is behind that kid that got hurt, though, his brother. He ended up stuck behind him somehow. Okay. Now, because of a lawsuit and the firing and all that, you can understand how whether or not he was better than Darian or not, and I don't know who this kid is. I have no idea. He didn't get to play as a junior. Only because of that. It had nothing to do with anything else. He had a dominant season on JV, not that it's the same, but he dominated there too. And if you watch this video, you will see 6'3", 200 pounds of bad dude, right? He has a 3.7 GPA. He's never been in trouble a day in his life. Never. Let me tell you, his parents kick his ass. And I mean, his parents they've been married for 20 years. They're a very tight-knit family. This is a good kid. So this insinuation that there's got to be something wrong with him, there's got to be an issue, blah, 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 blah. Maybe people are overlooking him for that reason. I don't know what the reason is. I know that he didn't get to play, and so he doesn't have a ton of film. Now, he did get he's been getting some offers lately to smaller schools, but he's got an offer to a JUCO and down at Navarro that could be a very good deal for him. He gets another chance, right?
Yeah.
He'll get another chance. So I could actually share this, and I'll just turn it down, but we'll share it. Share. Okay. Well, and actually, I should let you hear that one.
Put up huge Darian Holmes.
I'll let you hear this part.
Can't figure out why this young man doesn't have big Division I offers. He's got great size. Put up huge numbers at Warren High School, and he's pretty fast for a guy his size as well.
Yeah, here's those numbers he was talking about. 81 catches, 1,275 yards, 19 total touchdowns, 81 catches. And he's 6'3". And if you're watching this, I mean, obviously, I'll let you guys talk about it, but I mean, this is a kid that is going to help out whoever he goes to. They just won the lottery because he just wasn't very well known because of the fact that he didn't play as a junior. He didn't go to a ton of camps. He went, and not everybody understands the recruiting process, and not to mention, obviously, the recruiting process continues to change as well. I mean, now that catch right there was ridiculous. The guys look at him; he's all over him, and he just grabs it anyway. But he does this every time he plays, every time, and so. He runs through people. I mean, this is a player. Coach, tell me what you think when you see this kid. I mean, you've coached guys for a long time in Texas. Where does this kid rank with you?
Well, I tell you what, and I've watched some of the film already earlier, and he plays well. Again, that's why I can't, and I've been asking you the question because I can't believe he's not been offered by a D1 school.
Right.
And so there's got to be something that's being put out there, true or untrue. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not true. I can tell you if there's anything out there, if there is anything out there, it's absolutely false.
Right.
And he's had a bunch of offers at smaller schools. I mean, they're not going to, even at JUCOs, I know they're supposedly for trouble kids and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I mean.
Well, I mean, you look at him. He's a great looking kid. He makes plays.
Yeah.
There's no reason that he shouldn't be offered at a D1 school. It's unbelievable to me. But again, if he does go to Navarro, he's going to get that second shot to go somewhere and get that D1 scholarship that he.
The good news is he had a 3.7 also, so he wouldn't even have to stay 2 years necessarily at a JUCO.
No, he'll go in, play a year, and can be out of there because of his GPA. But no, you just
look at this catch here.
Look at this play. Look at this play. Wow. I mean, he's incredible. But
yeah.
I don't know if somebody has put some bad information out there. But what's interesting to me is it's got to be widespread because it's not like they just hit one school with that.
Well, I was reading earlier about a 3-star that they're hoping they get that is all of a sudden getting attention from Texas and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so if you're ranking a kid and you start thinking about a 5-star receiver, what does it take to be a 5-star receiver? Generally speaking, you got to be over 6 foot to over 6'2" even. Speed is a thing of it, but hands. He has all of these things. He's 6'3". He's pushing 200 pounds at this point. He's not Anthony Evans fast, but if you look at this right here, this play right here will tell you that speed is not a problem for Darren Holmes. Now, first, I mean, I slow it down right here. Look at all these tackles that he misses.
Exactly.
Now he is gone. And you don't even see anybody else in the frame.
Nobody's even gaining on him.
No.
No,
so whether he runs a 4.5 or a 4.4 or a 4.8, I don't know what he does on the track, and I know he's running track right now. I don't know what he runs. I know he's run a 4.5. He can run a 4.5, but I don't care what his 40 time is.
He looks like a 4.5 kid to me.
Yeah. Right. And then, I mean, this is his, big grab. But the next thing that you'll see is that the San Antonio game. 6'3", 2. Yeah, you're exactly right, Sean. Thank you. And sign the dude. I mean, I got to tell you, you don't see guys like just what you just said. These guys, they don't just – we were talking about those big, nasty 6'5", 350-pound D linemen. They don't grow on trees either. Those are the ones that God doesn't make as many of, right?
Right.
And it's just one of them deals. Well, I hope so. I hope somebody does. And Malcolm should be paying attention. I don't understand why Sark hasn't been all over this kid. And I don't want him to go to – I'm not saying I want the kid to go to Texas, first and foremost, folks. But I would tell you that I've been putting this content out. I've been putting his content out. I've been putting some other players. He's not even the only one. And I'm going to do a video it'll be out tomorrow talking about some of these guys that are still under the radar. I hope that everything, if he does end up taking the Navarro offer, and maybe listen, let me ask you this as a coach, would you, with the fact that he only got the 1 year as a varsity player, starting or anything like that, would you hope that maybe you see that JUCO could help him with development and continuing to get better and not having, if you go to a division, especially a big one, you may have to sit, Right. So it could be moving.
Jason, this could be a blessing for him. I mean, at the end of the day, this could be a blessing in disguise because he will, you're going to see some great athletes down at the JUCO level. And this could just make him a better D1 player. And like you said,
when talking to his dad, he said that when they were there, that there was monster after monster that walked in that door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
they were.
Yeah, they've got some great athletes that come in there, and obviously, a lot of schools place those kids at those junior colleges. So you're gonna get some big time players.
Well, and here's the thing. Yeah, I agree. And because a lot of those guys, they do have grade issues or some kind of issue that they have to get through. Here's the deal. That is not, and that's the only reason I brought this up. This has nothing to do with Darian. It has nothing to do with his family. It has nothing to do with his grades. This has, if it has anything to do with anything, it's something that happened at the school that he had nothing to do with at all. He just happened to be behind the kid's brother. So, and if that is what it is, I don't even know for sure that that's what it was either.
Right.
He could have just been, I don't think he was a late bloomer either. But again, I'm not going to sit here. I didn't coach him, and I don't know what was going on a year ago with that. I do know this. I trust his dad. I went to school with his dad. I played football with his dad. He played at Eastern. Great receiver himself. The kid comes by naturally, but this dude, and their family is very strict. They're together all the time. I mean, and extended family, this is a tight-knit group. So this is not the kind of kid that it's a problem kid. I just want to make sure. I don't know how that I'd made that clear enough, and I kept getting it in comments, and like one guy, I ended up blocking him because he just kept arguing with me about it, saying there's got to be. Well, all right, dude, I'm not going to do this with you, Sure. But I just wanted to.
And I can tell you, Jason, I can see where that comes from because
I understand.
golly,
No, and I'm not
everything
saying I don't understand it. What I'm telling you is
everything just
when I
points.
literally tell you what happened,
Yeah,
buy into it. And because knowing the family, I'm not going
sure.
to just stand up for anybody and say
Right,
that
right.
because I don't know everybody, but I know this
I'd like
family.
to know this. I'd like to find out what that story is. I really would. Golly, that's
Yeah.
just incredible to me.
It's heck, there's a kid from Tennessee that plays there's a kid from Tennessee that a quarterback that they were top 10 in the nation last year. He went 32-1 as a starter, or 31-1 or something stupid like that. Won 2 state championships in 6A in Tennessee. They were top 10 in the country, not this past season, but the year before that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have real offers for Division I. And some of the kids, but it's a lot of it, I think, has to do with that. He's a quarterback in an offense that doesn't throw the ball very much.
Right.
And so, but I mean, he can throw it. He can damn sure throw it. And he's a big kid. Actually, Oklahoma had allowed it. He came in on an unofficial to OU for Bedlam. So, and they liked him. So, look, there's a lot of guys out there that are flying. Brandon Harper, the other kid from Oklahoma. He led the nation. Now he's a PWO at OU. What I would tell you on a PWO, there was some talk about maybe him getting a PWO to UTSA. They haven't even given it or offered it to him yet. So but I don't, and we talked about that. I would, if you're going to get a PWO to UT or OU, fine. But you don't do it at UTSA. They're in your backyard.
No.
And what's wrong with Jeff Traylor? What are you doing, bro? Come on.
Well, all I can say right now is go Bulldogs.
Navarro Bulldogs. Yeah, listen, he hasn't taken the offer yet. I think it's a great offer. I like this coach. They've done really well. It's a solid sure. JUCO program down there. There's a lot of them, but there are a lot of talented players, and they do. Some of them just fall through the cracks, and that's the whole deal. They fall through the cracks. Hey, listen, Tulane with their coaching, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. You are having some, Ed Reed, bouncing out of basically getting kicked out of there over at Bethune-Cookman. But I don't know, man. He did not handle that very well. It doesn't seem like.
Nope.
Yeah. Great grades, everything. Listen, 3.7 GPA. Again, no trouble ever out of this kid. Somebody is going to get a diamond, period. They just win the lotto. And so I'd love it if it was Oklahoma. I know you talked about before that you would love it if Notre Dame got him. And
absolutely.
I can't. And he literally is good enough to play anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
There's no, so I think he goes to this place, and he could end up at a place like Alabama, for God's sakes. And here he was right in your state, and nobody saw him or nobody, made sure to go grab him. This JUCO coach, smart guy, they offered him immediately.
At this stage in the game, that's probably his best bet.
Mm-hmm. The JUCO, I think so. Unless somebody, they hadn't seen him or didn't know, and they're like, hey, we got a spot for you to play today, right now, plus a full scholarship, whatever, you know. But he's got the biggest scholarship you could get is offered to him from Navarro.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like a good option. He does have some other offers at Division II. One of them was Hardin Simmons, and yeah. I mean, look, and I get it. It was probably a great trip, but if you really want to play Division I ball, and he's a Division I kid, you got to do this. This is the move. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go ahead and get back into that other stuff. But thanks, guys, for watching that. And again, take a look at that. Share that with people, man. If this is just because nobody does know, then we can help them know, So anyway, all right. Let's talk. Oh yeah. All right. So the Big 12, the dummies. That's what we were talking about. The dummies. Man, we've already been going an hour. So the Big 12. I was watching our buddy Kuz on Kuz's Corner earlier. He was on the show with us last week, West Virginia guy. And he was talking about that. Well, the story's up here. I'll just kind of read it to you. And actually, I will share this because it's just a lot of story. But it's a lot to get in. Now, if a lot of this stuff about this schedule, we talked about this last week. What the hell's going on that you delayed the release in the schedule? There's other news in this story that I don't really like. And it looks as if, to me, look, the problem that they're having probably has a little something to do with this, and they're wanting to blame this crap on Oklahoma and Texas. And this is not about Oklahoma and Texas. This is a move that the other Legacy 8 made. Okay. Now, should an early exit by Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 be agreed upon, negotiated financial penalties associated with those departures would be utilized to aid the conference's expansion. Those monies would help make whole the 8 legacy Big 12 programs whose media rights are being diluted to help fund the arrival of the 4 newest members. Now, essentially what this means, and I don't know how many people knew this. I know Kuz didn't. He was like, I didn't even know. Folks, essentially what it is, every one of the remaining 8 agreed to, Texas and Oklahoma didn't vote on this. They agreed to pay $16 million each for the other 4 teams to move out of their conferences by this year. So them coming in this because of them coming in now. Okay. They were all locked into CUSA or the American Conference, whatever, right? Except for obviously BYU wasn't. But so it was these schools that made this choice. Now they voted 8-0, and 8 of the 8, so you're looking at for 2 years, so it'd be $8 million a season. Right? And so they're complaining. Now, and Kuz was saying, no. Oklahoma needs to pay their full exit fee, which would be $80 million each, $168 million, so that they can be solvent. Okay. Now, what I'm going to tell you is this, though. Oklahoma and Texas have both said throughout this entire deal that they were willing to stay through 25. We'll stick it out. And also, this stupid freaking deal from 2012, it predates the damn playoff even, right? Stupidest stuff ever. Anyway, with them leaving, if they leave early, the word has been that they would probably negotiate about half of that $168 million or 60%, which would be, right in there at, well, what would 60% of, it'd be like 60 or about 48 million, right? So they're going to lose some money. But this is a choice, though, that the remaining 8 made to pay that bill for Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, and UCF, first and foremost. The other thing is that we continue to hear, because as I said, Oklahoma and Texas were willing to stay, and they don't want to pay it. So they're not going to pay it in full, guaranteed, right?
No.
If you want them out, and that's the other part of it. When they had the league meetings in Vegas last month, they made it very clear, the remaining 8, that they wanted them to leave after this season. So not only that, though, but according to all this, apparently now, because I guess they don't know how to manage their money, I guess. And they know that this is a big thing, that they're losing a lot of money here. But you know what? You're going to lose it anyway. You made the decision to do that. Kuz is saying, no, they need to pay the full thing so that we don't have to overpay. Look, buddy, if you just made that decision and you made it wasn't for Oklahoma and Texas. It was so that you could save your conference. And he even said himself on his video, and Kuz, if you're around, listen to this. But look, if Oklahoma and Texas end up having to stay over this, I don't even think that they care about it. But You guys are the ones that are saying that you want them to go. Now, speculation has raged that Texas and Oklahoma have no desire to play the 4 new Big 12 members, though they have already committed to remain in the league for the upcoming season. The conference is in the process of finalizing a schedule for 14 programs. They haven't done it yet. And I don't know. There's software for this shit. What are we talking about? It's 14. The math isn't that hard, guys. It's just not that hard.
Baby. Schedule them up.
Schedule the thing already. Quit screwing around. Because when we talked about this last week, we thought, okay, well, are they trying to do something crazy with the schedule for the last one? And maybe they're negotiating. That's been the talk all around the league on these channels, right? According to this, there has been nothing. There has been no significant talks. And this is from Dennis Dodd at CBS. And Dennis knows this stuff. There has been a growing buzz that a deal for Texas and Oklahoma to depart for the SEC early is near. There is no evidence of formal negotiations. They retained, and I guess, they retained SEC media advisor in their pursuit of the deal, originally committed to the Big 12 through the term. But when Yormark took over in August, their stances changed about a month later. Speculation has raged that OU haven't, and I don't know, that speculation hasn't come from within this. I haven't heard a single thing out of a single content creator from Oklahoma. I haven't heard anything out of reporting out of Oklahoma. That's obviously coming from the rest of the league. What the hell would OU and Texas be afraid of playing UCF and Cincinnati without Luke Fickell and BYU and freaking crappy Houston, who Dana Holgerson lost control of that freaking boat the same time that Mike Gundy did. At Okie Light.
Bottom line, what I see in this, Jason, and again, I could be wrong. I haven't paid that close attention to it. But at the end of the day, they want them out, but they also want them to pay all the money so they can make up.
And I'm going to say this, and as much as, and this is easy for me to say, because to hell with the rest of those schools. And I mean, I'm going to still say horns down all day. It's all over my damn thing here. But I'm going to tell you that I don't care what they want at this point. You know what? You can't have it both ways. And you don't get to. You've been mooching off of these programs. 50% of the revenue from football has come from Oklahoma and Texas forever. 50%.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it anymore, folks. They don't owe you. What did he say? Yeah. Again, look, we talked about it last week. There was a total of 4 holding calls called against Texas and Oklahoma opponents last year. 4. Usually 4 in a game is not that many. Again, Coach, did you ever have a game that you didn't have a holding call?
Good God. I wished I would have. I wondered what the hell was going on. But no, that's to have 4 a whole season between Texas and OU is just.
There was 1 against Oklahoma. There was 3 against Texas.
3 against Texas, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt. Look, man, at the end of the day, come on, man. Either make the schedule and let's play, or shut the hell up.
Well, and here's the thing: is that the fact that like Kuz didn't know it, and I don't. And to be honest with you, I think I don't know that I knew this either until recently. Anyway, I knew it before today. But the thing is like if you think about it, if anybody was keeping this quiet, it wasn't OU in Texas. Why in the hell did the rest of the league? They didn't want their fans to know that they were ponying up this money. But they agreed 8-0 to pay $16 million. A lot of that they would recoup just through their new deal.
Right.
That's the other thing they did. In what lifetime? Listen, and I know that the SEC probably did it. The Big Ten, I think they waited freaking 5 years to pay Rutgers anything to let them in. Hell, they may still not be paying Rutgers. They're getting a full share. These new teams, not only are they getting $19 million each to come in, they're also getting full shares from the Big 12.
Yep. Amen.
In the first year of the new deal. I mean, what have they earned that? How did they earn that? I'll tell you why. Because it's been mismanaged by Bob Bowlesby, and Yormark is doing what he's. I mean, I don't blame Yormark for wanting to do what he's doing, but he's the rest of this league, the rest of this conference wants Oklahoma and Texas to now go away. If that's what you want, if you could pay for freaking these other schools to come in, then you could give up a little bit of that money. Because they're not, I can tell you now, they're not going to pay the full amount. Oklahoma and Texas will not. They've already said that they won't. They,
why?
They've already said it. Why should they? Again, half of the revenue for this conference comes from two teams. The other thing, Bob Bowlesby screwed this thing up so long ago. Hell, it was TCU got to play for the national championship this year. They had a better chance probably had they played a conference championship that year that them and Baylor were tied when Bryles was still there.
Yeah.
What a game. They were played for that, and that would have let one of them in the playoff then. They screwed that up. They never replaced those teams. They fixed the playoff the deal part. But honestly, you didn't help your conference that way either, because the round robin schedule is tough.
Yeah.
And nobody else in the country does it. Again, I don't think that, and we've talked about a lot of that, but don't give me that OU and Texas owes you a damn thing when you're the one telling them to leave. I don't want to hear it.
No.
But I'll tell you something. It tells you exactly why, folks. I'm going to tell you this. It's going to tell you why the schedule's not out yet. And they're not even negotiating it. So I'm going to have to say, do not expect to be in the SEC in 2024. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, A&M's pissed about it. They're the only ones. It brings money to the conference. They're already the best conference, and they're the richest conference. Yeah. Well, the Big Ten's giving more money away, but they got a slightly bigger deal, but not by you're looking at about $80 million a team in the SEC. It's I'm going to tell you, there's a reason why the conference has won 6 out of the 9 college football playoffs. And when you had time, when you stopped taking care of your cash cows, they left. And this is not the first time it's happened even. I mean, how did Bob Bowlesby really think that OU and Texas would never go anywhere when he had already lost Nebraska and freaking A&M and Missouri and hell, back in the day, Arkansas,
Yeah.
You don't see the writing on the wall? I mean, come on, man. Get the hell out of here. So weird. So weird. Hey, man. Bob Bowlesby was the worst. Well, I say that. I think here's the other thing. There's another conference in deep shit. And I'm going to tell you guys now, they're acting like this. Supposedly when all the money would work out, when what they would get back and recoup, they might lose $3 million if they did the 60%, about $3 million a school. Now, Kuz was saying, no, West Virginia can't afford that. Oh, come on. They could afford $16 million, but they can't afford to lose 3. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man. Oh, yeah, there would. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're going to be, folks. Look, if Kerwin, thank you, bud. do hit the like button, folks. That helps our algorithm so much. I'm glad so many people are here. We've been hovering around 25 to 30 for a while now. the Pac-12 is in trouble as well. So apparently they had to do some kind of they did an audit on their TV deals and stuff with Comcast, I guess. They had been getting overpaid by Comcast. People knew about it and didn't say anything. This was during the last regime, which Klyavkov was part of, but apparently, I don't know, Matt. I don't think so, but I don't know. It could happen. It could happen. We talked about that in the first part of the show, or about after the first topic. You should definitely check it out. Look. So anyway, it could be like $50-60 million that they got to pay back. Apparently Comcast has sued them now over it. And they didn't do anything about it, and they've known about it for a year and did nothing. So they fired a couple of people the other day, I guess, or whatever. But I mean, as if the Pac-12 wasn't having enough problems, right? Then they got a bunch of idiots up there that are basically stealing money. No, you're okay. You're all good, man. We'll talk about this a little bit. We'll kind of go back through a little bit of that, but we're about done. Folks, again, hit that like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, please do so. You can always help support the podcast with tips. We'd appreciate it. All of our links are right below. And then, of course, you can buy from Fanatics, get up to 65% off everything in the store. You guys, if you haven't already checked out our podcast merch website, go check that out. There's a couple. The 5 Bs of Oklahoma shirt. I'm surprised I haven't seen anybody. The first person that buys one of those, I want a picture so that we can run it during one of the shows. And has anybody gotten I know that people have bought some of this merch. So get us a picture and some of the stuff that you're wearing, man. The horns down stuff. Come on now. This is what Oklahoma people do. Horns down. But right now, we actually have to be nice to them because we're trying to do the same. Look, this stuff with the Big 12, though, look, do not be okay with this, folks. And I don't want to hear any whining from these other freaking conference teams. They literally wanted them to even leave Vegas during the meetings because they don't want them around. Okie Light tired of getting their ass kicked, and it's going to get worse. But that's part of it, that they don't want to play Oklahoma this year is the scheduled deal. They don't want it. They're done with it. But again, I just feel like, and now you've got the Pac-12 over there. They stealing money from their freaking cable partners. That's a good business. That's good business, And they haven't released their deal, or they don't have a deal in place yet. And their deal expires before the Big 12 does. The Big 12 doesn't expire until 2025. Right. They're done after next year. USC's leaving next year. It's I'm telling you, it's trending in the way. I know that with Kevin Warren leaving, everybody thinks that all these presidents just aren't going to do anything in the Big Ten and expand. I think that when USC and UCLA get there, they're going to bitch after going 1 year where they got to go and play 4 or 5 games on the freaking in the Midwest, on the East Coast. Not that I could care at all, because they did what they did. What I'm going to tell you is that's a lot of traveling with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. I mean, there's SEC schools that are right next to us. They're not going to be okay with that. They're losing some of their traditional rivals. If Notre Dame ends up in the Big Ten at any point, you can bet that Stanford is on the way next. And all their traditional rivals matter too, right? And there's no way that they'll go to the Big Ten unless they get to play their traditional rivals. Yep. Now they would still play USC, of course, but
Hey,
anyway.
Of Notre Dame, Jason, let me throw a curveball in here.
Let's do it.
Just a little deal on Kennedy Urlacher, Brian Urlacher's son. He's been offered by Notre Dame. He's a free safety. Yeah, he's a free safety, and so I was kind of excited to see that he's been.
Kennedy's
offered.
A baller, man.
Yeah,
I actually, I saw him. Well, Brian was on. Well, he's been on all of them, but I think he was on McAfee, and they were talking a lot. Or no, maybe it was that bus one that they do, that podcast. Those Nebraska guys, at that point, the only offer he really had, of course, it was he was looking at probably Iowa, maybe that, but of course, that's a better offer than Brian ever got. He didn't even get offered by Tech, and he lived an hour and a half away.
No, I know.
Stupidest thing ever.
Brian's helped that piece, and just coming from
sure. Well, he's a Hall of Famer, man, and if you've seen the kid, he's a monster too, and he's that. Brian was talking about that. He goes, he works as hard or harder than I ever did.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I played I played against Brian. He was a animal. Now, obviously, we didn't know that he was going to be Brian Urlacher, right. But but he was the real deal, man. And he would hit you like it was no tomorrow. Yeah. Notre Dame will definitely be next on all the TV deals and stuff. These things, and that's why they're going to shorter deals, 7-year deals. Hell, the ACC is in trouble too because they still got till 2036. We talked about that the other night. The Big 12 will have renewed twice by then, assuming, of course, they can survive all this stuff. But why would you not be proactive and try to? I mean, if the Pac-12 and the Big 12 have the same, essentially within a year contract time, why did they say no? Turning their nose up at them. Stupid to me. I can't even, if to me, Colorado should have come back. The Arizona schools should have immediately. I don't think that you get the Stanfords and the Cals and the Washingtons and Oregon. I think they're waiting on AAU and going out to the Big Ten, but I don't think it would be, nobody's knocking down Utah's door or Colorado or Arizona or either of the Arizona schools to have them come to the Big Ten. And now that Kevin Warren's gone, apparently some of these presidents don't want to do it. But wait, as soon as the SEC makes another move or starts looking like they might, this is not over, folks. I don't care. No, it's not over.
It's a big chess game.
Yeah. Listen, they're going to a 60 to 70 team model that are going to play for the FBS throughout the year. That's how it's going to go. The NCAA is about to not have anything to do with it anymore, which fine. Yeah, they don't know what the hell they're doing anyway.
Screw everything up.
They do. Folks, if you were enjoying everything, please do hit that like button, become a subscriber. And hey, Dakota, what's up? What's up, man? You just caught us almost at the end, but we've been talking to kind of go back through. Obviously, we talked a little bit about this big move for Brent Venables. I feel like it's a bigger move than what they even kind of made. Skalski was a good linebacker for Clemson anyway. It's a big move for them, though. Man, you can come back. You can still watch it, man. You can go back and watch the rest of the thing. Not to worry, man. And I'm going to go back through it. So anyway, Skalski, this is big because of the fact that, I'm thinking about that Baylor game where you see two guys in the same gap that they just want. And listen, and that's the position that Brent Venables was coaching, and it wasn't right. They weren't hitting the right spots. But not to say it was just them. There was a lot of bad things. But what I would say is, hey, thanks for coming in, Dakota. We appreciate that. What I would tell you is having this guy, Skalski, who was one of the best linebackers that played during that time that he was there, those 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was. Look, this is big because he's going to be able to help. And of course, you got some better athletes coming in now that are going to be more suited for it as well, both through the portal and everything else. But James Skalski, and this is what Venables does. He gets it. And I mean, look at how well it's worked out having, I think one of the big, the first thing I thought of is, man, you've got, look at what it's been like with Miguel Chavis being the defensive end coach.
Yep.
He recruits his ass off. Everybody loves him. I mean, man, everybody's always loved him. I mean, even if you don't like Clemson, you liked him. He was a fun guy, So, and I mean, obviously you didn't like it if he was playing your team kicking your ass, which we had happen. So, anyway, that's a big move. I think that's good. It's going to free up Brent Venables to be able to do the things he needs to do as a head coach, helping with the whole team, instead of probably a little bit of probably more. You said it earlier. You just don't have the time as a head coach, right?
No.
You were a head coach for often, and you
not only do you not have the time, even though you know it inside out, you don't have you can't get it across because you've got other things on your mind. Okay, so it's impossible to do. He's a great hire.
Scheduling and fundraising and recruiting and everything else. I mean, and you've got all of it is on you. So yeah, I mean, look, the linebackers, he's gonna, I'm sure, still be involved in it, but I would think that Skalski could probably run that practice by himself day one.
Well, he's been through it. How many times? How many days of practice has he been through that scheme? Yeah. He knows it. He knows it inside out.
Right. The other thing that we talked about, that this is a kind of a scary thought, but the fact that you had a legacy quarterback, the quarterback that's supposed to follow Jackson, 4-star, looking to get his 5th star, push back his commitment date from January 31st. That seems to signal that Lebby has not completely turned down the overtures from Nick Saban and Alabama. And the other question that I had is okay, well, clearly he wants to play for Jeff Lebby. His dad, I say he's a legacy guy. Not only that, his dad and Lebby were in the same recruiting class, played together at Oklahoma. Now, what I would say is that means that they're Oklahoma guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, the kid doesn't have to be, but I feel like Lebby, he wants to see this through, and I agree with what Jimmy said earlier. If he did that, but if you were to lose this kid and Lebby, right, do you not lose Jackson Arnold too? Because he came for Lebby. Do you not lose some of these? I mean, we didn't even bring that up. There's a lot of kids that came for this offense, for the offense that he ran. 2 amazing running backs, some good receiver. They got 2 good receivers. Man, it's a scary, scary thought of what that could turn into. And it would force them to try to hijack Kendall Briles to maybe salvage it, right? Mm-hmm. In order to keep Jackson around, because they're going to, obviously they run the same offense, being brother-in-laws and both working for Art. So that's something to look at. I wish he would come out and make sure that we all know. Now, the outlaw of college football was the other thing. He said that he was hearing in Alabama today that it was a no-go, but I just read before the show started where apparently Saban is not taking no for an answer. They do. Venables, Lebby, and Saban all have the same agent, which, shit, I don't even know what that means. But, I mean, you know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean? It's like, wow. So, anyway, I just feel like it's one of those things where it's a little worrisome. This kid is obviously, he had just transferred from Allen to the new school there in Frisco at Frisco Emerson. And I mean, they got a nice little team, man. It looks like that they can make a run. People don't usually leave Allen High School. If you're a football player, if you're a starting quarterback there, you don't lose out. You don't leave out, you know? So something's up. It would be a Nick Saban coup. Here's the thing, and that we talked about this. This is Nick Saban's, paranoia about his grip on college football. Yeah, Dakota, I'll hit you back. I don't know if I saw it or not. Let me see it. Yeah. I don't have anything from you, I don't think, man. Maybe I do. Let me check. I'll check in a minute. Anyway, look, the bottom line is that it's not a good thing for Oklahoma fans. We don't want to see this. And you would hope that Lebby's going to have. Now, it may mean you need to pay him more money, but if that's what needs to happen, they need to do it.
They just need to do whatever they need to do to keep him. Bottom line.
Yeah, they do. And folks, I would tell you this: all these Lebby bashers should maybe I've been saying this all year. If Dillon Gabriel, if he left, there's the other thing. Dillon Gabriel is only here because of Jeff Lebby. So you could lose No, let's all send Jeff Lebby a tweet that we love him, okay? and send one to Oklahoma, pay him. Do something. Because you cannot have this. You cannot have this. You can fix the defense, and now your offense is trash. No good. Because you don't have a quarterback. And you know what that quarterback room is like right now. They just lost another guy. I didn't even know who he was, really. Yeah, Jackson was one of the earliest recruits and the guy that kept the class. Exactly. I'm telling you. Okay. Yeah, it isn't.
Exactly.
It's not a guarantee that he wouldn't. It's not a guarantee that he'd stay either. I feel like that's when you have to shuffle around and try to see if you can go and steal Kendall Briles or somebody said Chad earlier. Chad Morris, yeah. Be another one of those guys. But, I mean, listen, Jeff Lebby has been the hottest OC for the last few years. And
well,
you know.
And that's what I don't understand is why so many people, so many fans from OU have complained. And I couldn't understand that.
I think a lot of it was, and again, we've talked about this, a lot of that was the fact that, look, there is a bunch of spoiled ass people that are Oklahoma fans. We've had Baker Mayfield, we've had Landry Jones, we've had Baker, we've had Sam Bradford, we've had, Kyler Murray, you've had Caleb Williams, you've had even Jalen Hurts, and Jalen was the worst of those guys. So, and no, I don't want to talk about that one. I don't care if he's an Oklahoma guy or an Alabama guy. He was not my favorite guy. The better clock management. Yeah. Listen, folks, that was not all on Jeff Lebby either. Look, this is when you run an RPO, it becomes about the quarterback and what he does and what he reads. Absolutely. And so, look, and I'm not going to sit here and bash on Dillon Gabriel either, because I know that we need him at Oklahoma. And what I'll tell you is that, first off, you don't change the way that you do things in the middle of a freaking game because you have a lead. Now, you could tell Dillon, run the fucking ball. Excuse my language, but you could tell him that. Coach, you've probably done it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's also on BV, that BV can say, hey, he's got a radio. He's standing there. He hears every play.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the RPOs, RPOs are not built for clock management. And like you said, Jason, if you don't want him running the RPO, you may run the play, but you may say, hey, keep the ball or give the ball or,
Yeah. Or even, they can run different plays out of the same look. And so, that's what makes Lincoln great, is that he runs so many things out of different looks. The same play, different looks, and there's run the football. And when you have a guy like Eric Gray last year, they did that. But honestly, folks, you've got to have this guy and these quarterbacks look, you didn't have, they needed to be perfect 2 more games. They lost 4 games by 3 points. And it wasn't about the offense, folks. We've talked about that at length. And you guys are smart. Y'all know that. Hang 100. Hang 100 on them. I'm with you, Dakota. Yes. Thank you. We're going to get you on the show just because I like your, man, I'm telling you, you guys, I love our audience. Love my audience. You guys are smart. You're funny. You guys are funny too. James, this is one of my favorite dudes here. He's always like, whenever I forget a name, he'll put it in there right away in the chat. Love the guy. Because I'm forgetful sometimes. And I just get to talking and be like, oh, who am I thinking of? Guys, we really, really appreciate it. We have been going for an hour and a half now. I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. But listen, I'm telling you, maybe when you see some of this Lebby bashing and Dillon Gabriel bashing stuff, remember that this dude is the key to your offensive juggernaut, if that you still want to have. And this, how many Oklahoma quarterbacks have been player of the year in high school for the whole country? It's rare. We don't want to lose this guy either. And honestly, you don't want to lose the legacy kid. I don't want to lose Hawkins. He looked really good in everything that I saw. And I know he's going to get protected on the left side. That monster kid playing, they're moving him from tight end to left tackle.
Yeah.
Monster. I think he's going to go to Oklahoma, he's going to go to Oklahoma. I know you're going to love that one. Chris.
Yeah,
Chris
I love that a lot. We did.
No, I was talking about Chris. His dad is a Texas fan. He's going to hate it that I said that.
Oh, there you go.
I love it. I did it on purpose.
Jason, we actually have a monster that we're looking at Notre Dame. It's Justin Scott. He's a five-star defensive tackle, but we thought he was fixing to commit. I think now he's opened that window back up. I'm tired of seeing that crap.
Man, I'll tell you. But here's the thing. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing at Notre Dame right now, to where you've got a new guy trying to get, and it's his first time being a head coach as well.
Yeah.
He was left a little more than what Oklahoma, I mean, it got gutted.
Right.
But a lot of those guys weren't. Yeah, they all loved it. I mean, it looks to me like he was already on staff, so he was able to hold it together some.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you got a good coach there. I think that the portal pickup of that quarterback. Listen, that was big. That was big for Notre Dame, and I think that defensively they're going to be good. And you've got good running backs, but you got to be able to throw.
Yeah,
and I think that.
Yeah,
I think so. I think so too, man. And it's going to be one of the. I feel like it's going to be a big. You're going to see turnarounds there. I don't think that Lebby's going to Alabama either, but I wouldn't say never. Unless he's announced it in the last 10 minutes, I wouldn't say that that's for sure, because if you go back and listen to what I was saying earlier and what we were talking about, you'll see why we're saying that. So anyway, guys,
I guarantee you they may be in negotiations right now.
Yeah, listen. I mean, Alabama's not taking no for an answer, so that means that the checkbooks are out.
Yeah.
But
so are OU's.
Of course. And OU's got the money to keep him there. And and you know what? He's an Oklahoma guy. You expect him to do what he needs to do, right?
Exactly.
So, I'm hoping that everything's going to be okay, and I feel like it's going to be. I don't want to freak everybody out. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, look, we need to be thinking about these things and realize that the coaching staff that Brent Venables put together, it is good. When Nick Saban wants to pick and poach away from your staff, that tells you something about Nick Saban too. He's worried about what is getting put together down here. Yep. The last thing that we talked about, and we'll just end it on this: screw the Big 12 and this crap about the rest of the 8 wanting Oklahoma and them to pay that full amount when they're the ones that want to kick them out. I don't want to hear that crap. Kuz, we can talk about this too. I don't know if you're in here or not. I haven't seen you, so probably not. But I disagree with you. I almost called you to get you on the show. But we can do one later if you want to. I don't agree. I think it's crap. They're the ones that have been pushing for it to be out. They're the ones that agreed to the 16 to pay for them to come early. And all this crap about we don't want the Oklahoma and Texas don't want to play the new schools. Why would they? When have you ever heard of Oklahoma and Texas turning down a game and we're not talking, it's not Alabama. Texas is playing Alabama this year. OU was getting ready to play Georgia. And they made them change they didn't want to do it because they weren't going to get a home at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're afraid of playing the people that are
They aren't afraid of freaking Cincinnati and UCF and BYU and crappy Houston. With Dana Holgerson that can't even keep his own team together down there. It's Okie Light South. Okie Light South down there. All right, folks. Thanks again for coming in. We appreciate it. And, hey, hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know what you want to talk about. And anybody who has a T-shirt design or something like that, let us know. We'll throw it on a piece of merch and get it out there for you guys. We will see you on the next one. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.